Jack Cole is known to dance insiders as the father of jazz dance. Pretty much everybody who dances today in concert dance or on Broadway or in music videos has been influenced by his pioneering work. That said, a lot of people who isolate their hips or swing in a jazz groove probably have no idea where their movement ideas came from before they thought of them. Agnes DeMille, sometime in the fall of 1948, wrote this in a letter to Jack Cole. I've never written before to a choreographer whom I did not know, but I'm too excited to refrain. Is there any way of saving some of those dances so we can go on seeing them complete with our beautiful costumes? She had just seen the Broadway show Magdalena. So here we go 62 years later, doing what Agnes DeMille requested and doing our part to save some of the dances of Jack Cole. Norton Owen, who joins me first today, is the Director of Preservation here at the Pillow and a generally tuned-in dance historian. He decided to bring together some of the strands of interest in Jack Cole that he was hearing about, and both people who were doing work on his career as a choreographer and dancer, his work on stage and in Hollywood. And so Norton has been gathering materials of all kinds, films and memoirs and oral histories. Today he and I are going to introduce guests and film excerpts. But first I'm going to ask Norton to just give us a sense of sort of before the Jack Cole that most of us know, and his early days as a dancer and how that connects to Jacob's Pillow.
Well, it's really quite a story, and I always knew the story in its general outlines, but as always is the case with when you know that you're going to say something formally or write something, you have to distill it in a different way or research it in a different way. So as I was looking up, exactly what had happened in these early years when Jack Cole came to Jacob's Pillow, I discovered a lot of things that were new to me. First of all, that when Jack Cole came to Denishawn, the school of Ruth St. Denis and Ted Shawn in 1930, he had no dance training whatsoever. And after he got to Denishawn in 1930, it was only 6 weeks of training before he was put into a production, which is extraordinary. I mean, anybody who slaves away in dance training for years and years would know that that's amazing. After 6 weeks of training, he was performing with Denishawn at the Louis-Sun Stadium in New York. That's in 1930. But in 1931, he first came to Jacob's Pillow. He was one of the first 4 dancers who came here in September of 1931 with Ted Shawn. He had bought Jacob's Pillow. Ted Shawn had bought Jacob's Pillow. He was starting to have a place for dance to happen here, which was in what we now call the Bacalar Studio, a barn that had been converted into a studio. There was no running water, there was no electricity, and Shawn got Barton Mumaw and Jack Cole and 2 other guys and brought them up here, and they spent the whole month of September here at the Pillow. Now, this goes as far back in Pillow history as you can go back, and Jack Cole was there, which is extraordinary. Jack Cole remained with Shawn throughout 31, 32, into 1933. So then March of 1933, the very first performance by a group known as Ted Shawn and his ensemble of men dancers, given in March of 33 in Boston. And Jack Cole was in that. In fact, he had top billing, known at that time as J. Ewing Cole. And he started then in the summer of 1933. He was here as well. This was the first summer that we had performances, so that's what we really date our beginnings. We count the beginning of the Pillow to that summer. Yeah. Pillow. But that's when their paths diverged, and I just want to say that in doing this research, I found in the manuscript of Shawn's autobiography, this is the unpublished version, which was much more extensive than what became published as 1001 Night Stands. Shawn said that in the summer of 1933, Cole was, quote, too much to cope with. Shawn wrote, while he danced with great vitality and people were now beginning to pick him out and compliment his work highly, Whenever he danced in an ensemble, he danced with the sole idea of making everyone in the audience watch him and forget all the others on stage at the same time. So that, I think, is very telling. Yeah.
Yes. And so he goes on from there to dance with the Humphrey Weidman Company before,
That's right.
right? And but then he's also starting his nightclub career at the same time, and starts to work with two other dancers at that time. One of whom is Anna Austin. Can you tell us about her?
So he was dancing with Florence Lessing and Anna Austin. And Anna Austin was a Denishawn dancer. She was, in fact, the one that some of this information that I was just sharing came from her. She died in 1997, so she's no longer among us, but she managed to write down some of her memories of Jack Cole, which we have just recently been able to.
Well, I have to
bring
just say
in,
that Norton has been a detective about this. He found contact information for her daughter, and
Yeah.
she dug around in her mother's possessions and found this manuscript that.
Yeah. Right. But Anna Austin, going back to your question, Anna Austin was a Denishawn dancer, and what we learned from this memoir also is that she was the one who literally opened the door at Denishawn House in 1930 when Jack Cole came knocking to study with Ted Shawn and Ruth St. Denis. It was Anna Austin who opened the door to him and became a lifelong friend.
So for me as a historian, one of the things that's been interesting about piecing together these different things is we're not finding the only truth about Jack Cole, because what we're going to talk about right now is this two contradictory stories about Cole. So here, this first comes from Anna Austin's memoir. Just a brief, you can set it up.
Yes. So the whole question, and one of the things that certainly exemplifies Cole's work is the way that he fused East Indian dance technique with jazz music. And this had never been done before, and it remains one of the things that people think of as quintessential Jack Cole. And in Anna Austin's memories here, she writes, "The photographer Marcus Bleckman found two great records, one by Larry Clinton and the other by the Raymond Scott Quintet." I thought this was extraordinary that she remembered exactly which two records it was. "Jack began to do hastas mudras, East Indian hand movements, to them, and that was the start of a new kind of dancing. He began creating oriental dances to contemporary jazz music with us." And Jack once wrote a letter to the dance critic John Martin, which Martin then quoted in an article in the New York Times in 1938. Jack wrote, "Don't shudder, we have not mutilated any classic form. Strangely enough, this is the closest thing to native musical form that you can get from Western instruments. He was right." And this is Anna again saying, "He was right. Our use of pure East Indian hand gestures and neck and body movements blended perfectly with American jazz music, which rhythmically and instrumentally seemed to duplicate East Indian dance music."
So here we have Anna Austin, who is quite clear about where this connection between the East Indian dance and music, dance and the paired up with the jazz dancing that Cole was doing. We got a contradictory piece of information earlier this week. Norton did an oral history with Larry Billman, who was a student of Jack Cole's, and then so dancer turned dance on film archivist and the founder of the Academy of Dance on Film. He's also the author of a wonderful book called Film Choreographers and Dance Directors. So here's his memory of this connection.
How Cole came to his mashup
of East Indian and jazz. Yeah, I'd always loved, that probably interested me the most because those faraway places interested me too. And then to see them to an American idiom, perform to American idiom, that was unbelievable. A story goes, and I can't remember who told it to me, if you're out there, forgive me, touring with Miss Roos somewhere, they came to a performance area. I don't think she was performing theaters. This might have been something with a bandstand, and the band was there, and she said, "And what have you got to accompany our East Indian dance?" And well, we got, in an Indian garden, it's dun, 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 but we only have a jazz version. "Well, let me hear it," she said. Dun, 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 dun. "That'll do," she said, and that was that. And supposedly that's the first time, and Jack was standing right there, that she may have opened a door for him. I can't be sure, but I love that story. How easy that was and how simple that was. Out of necessity is born genius.
Just to show you now an excerpt so you get an idea of what Austin and Billman were talking about, we're going to look at a tiny excerpt from Kismet.